Hello everyone, this is going to be a visual guide for the Heroes Gauntlet. I'll be Teegres and I'll be your host. So we're going to start off with the Red Mage as the DPS. We're going to go straight from the first segment all the way to the first boss, and then from there we're going to move on to the next job. So as you can see, the tank isn't really pulling small. The issue is the fact that there aren't many enemies to pull in the Heroes Gauntlet. It's one of those dungeons that really focuses more on the MSQ over, content in general. We're going to basically run into up to 2 segments of enemies. You don't really have to pull too big. This is kind of like the main epitome of the MSQ, so it's focusing more on you just finishing the 5.3 segment of Shadowbringers. Or at least the dungeon segment, that is. Now, a peace of mind is I've been focusing on crafting and gathering non-stop ever since 5.3 came out. I figured with the storm hitting me over and over again, I won't be able to do much of uploading, so I will just focus on crafting and gathering. So I will definitely make a lot of mistakes. Not too many, but I will make a lot in comparison to what I usually make. So bear in mind that as we run through this. There we go, I made a mistake right there. Popping the sprint after dual cast actually cancels dual cast. So as you can see, there's going to be a lot of friendly NPCs or friendly enemy types that don't really hit you, but they actually do damage to the enemies. So they're going to do friendly telegraphs. They should be blue, the telegraphs that is, so try not to run away from those and continue doing your DPS or your rotation, etc. So we're coming up against the first boss here soon, another segment of enemies, and then we're going to continue onward. And of course, timestamps are in the description. If you guys don't want to, watch the whole trash pull, you can just go ahead and skip straight to the boss. Where boss is in the video. The video is roughly 20 minutes long. I'd rather you guys not watch too much of it. I wouldn't watch too much of it myself. Just go straight to what I'm looking for. And I do apologize for the delay in the videos. Again, I've had issues with storms in Florida. I live in Florida. I live in Central Florida. And we've had way too much of thunderstorms and heavy rain. With this, we're going to come up against the first boss. The first boss is kind of an interesting take, as it has a couple of mixtures between raid mechanics and older boss mechanics, and it also has mixtures between ninja skills. First up is the Spectral Dream, the single heavy hitter tank buster. Then we have a dash. This one's going to do a circle. You're going to notice a telegraph, a tether, and a marker on the left side as soon as I turn. Your boss will move along with everything, so make sure you stay in the position. Make sure you avoid where that marker is. That's where the boss will be. Next up, we have Spectral Whirlwind, the room-wide, typical room-wide AoE. Spectral Gust, no stacked circles, straightforward. Now we're going to have a series of chicken knives. They're going to do a line AoE, kind of delayed, but make sure you keep tabs on those. A Shadow Dash line. Notice how the boss has a line across him. Remember the tethers and the markers. This one does a Shadow Dash, as you can see there, so it's going to be 2 of them. Another Spectral Dream, heavy hitter tank buster. it focuses the tank buster, so even if you stand right on top of the tank, it will not hit you. Another chicken knife. They come from the corners of the room. Another shadow dash. This one's a circle. Remember, there's going to be 2 markers. Make sure you move away from the markers. You also have no stack circles. We have another Spectral Whirlwind, typical room wide. These will do magic damage. Another chicken knife. The idea is to just dodge as much as possible. Shadow dash, this one does a line, so there's 2 lines. Avoid where the markers will be, so right here is fine. That Dragoon over there is going to get hit. Along with the Scholar. They do invuln stacks. They aren't as heavy hitting as they should be, but after enough invulns you'll die to them. A Spectral Dream, a single heavy hitting tank buster. And the final chicken knife into no stack circles, shadow dash circle. Boss is dead. It's a pretty simple boss fight once you know the mechanics. And with that, we're going to move on to our next segment. As soon as you hit the Fey portal. And here we go. So this is the second segment. We're playing the Warrior. We're going to rush right through as we always do. I think I've played this place roughly 15 to 20 times just to get enough experience to not make too many mistakes. I try not to do these dungeons blind, as most guides on the internet have them run blind. They just try to do them as quickly as possible. I understand that. I delay mine so I know what I'm doing, and I can also give you guys tips on how to avoid things, or maybe you did something wrong. Here we go. So again, if I make any mistakes, do keep in mind I've been crafting for the past week or so. Not week, a couple of days. The new 490 item level crafting set has got me in the ropes. I really don't understand why Square Enix did such a thing. They could have just released the 460 crafting accessories and gathering accessories. I talked to the FC members about that, and some of them also agreed. It's kind of a ridiculous bold move by Square Enix. But I guess it gives us stuff to do. Anyway, this place is fantastic for screenshots. If you beat the final boss, come back here and take a couple screenshots. It looks gorgeous. But this is a dungeon guide, so I gotta rush through it. Try to spend as little time as possible. And again, just like before, you're gonna see a lot of enemies use friendly telegraphs. So if they're blue or green or just not red in general, do keep that in mind, as they are trying to help you, not kill you in the process. There are a few telegraphs that will be red indicators, so such as that one. I believe that was a friendly telegraph. There's going to be a few telegraphs, you may have noticed them, that they do a Thunder 4 on a single character. I think they put a marker on the character. You need to move away, otherwise it puts a dot on yourself or on the person that has the marker and everybody else around them. So this is the second boss. Second bird. We're up against the Spectral Necromancer. Just gonna pull this straight onto the back. We have a Dragoon, so I want them to not move as much as possible. Absolute Dark 2, a room-wide cleave. No matter where you're at, it's going to hit everything. I believe it's going to do a Doom on the character. Just avoid it. First up, we have the Necromancy spawns of walkers. Twisted Touch is a tank buster. Very heavy hitter tank buster. So mind your health bar. Now once these walkers have collapsed on the ground, make sure you move away from them. Let me position the Dragoon here. After that, they're going to do Necro Burst, which will basically blow them up, as you can see there. That's why you want to move away from them. Next up is the Pain Mire. Itself is going to be the puddles that get placed on the ground. Make sure you do not get hit by the Telegraph. That's a whole different story. Pain Mire is going to do bleed that you cannot cleanse off of you. And also a vulnerable staff. Now these ones are crawlers. Just like before, it's going to be spawned from Necromancy. Now the crawlers are going to attach to you and you'll be rooted on the ground. Necro Burst will blow them up, so make sure you do not stack these, similar to the other ones. Next up is Chaos Storm, is a typical room-wide AoE. It's going to do magic damage naturally. We have the Necromancy again, but she's going to spawn both of them back to back. Sadly, she dies before anything fancy happened. But that's pretty much it. The walkers will spawn. Shortly afterwards, the crawlers will spawn. Make sure you do not stack. Make sure you walk away from the walkers as they collapse. And make sure you're at a safe distance from each other as the crawlers attach to you. And other than that, the boss is pretty simple as well. And finally, we're going to do the Scholar. I have my FC members here with me. There is no randos. So this is typically what I would like to do every single time I do these dungeon examples. Eventually I'll do trials and raids and savage content alike. I'd rather do it this way with no randos because it gives me a peace of mind and it also helps alleviate a bit of the stress. So just like before, you're going to see a lot of friendly telegraphs, a lot of enemies that seem to be enemies, but they're not. They're actually trying to help you. It's kind of a mess. This is the main reason why I don't like having too many buttons on the screen, is because even though you may zoom out, you still might not be able to see too much. But again, you're not going to have too many enemies to pull. Typically just grab everything and just go straight to where the wall is. If nothing else spawns, then that's pretty much all you get. If you've done this plenty of times, you're going to notice that there's some situations where no more ads spawn, even though you may have hit the wall. So consider your teammates, especially if you have a black mage, a ninja with puddles, etc, etc. Make sure that if they place their puddles or their ley lines, for instance, that you stop or you need to come back. Make sure you don't leave them in the dust. Okay, make sure you grab those chests and get your seals or your gear so you can get them upgraded. As soon as we take down these enemies, there's going to be 3 more that spawn where that chest is that we picked up, all the way in the far corner. The first one up front is going to do the paladin version of, I believe it's Passage of Arms. The paladin along with the 2 DPS in the back will take nearly no damage, so just wait till the NPC does the LB3 for a month. And now we can start damaging them. The background music is fantastic as well. It's a nice, relaxing dungeon. The bosses are kind of challenging, but it's overall pretty relaxing. Okay, so here we are at the final boss. And it is going to be the Spectral Berserker. Kind of an interesting boss fight. Okay, he's going to start it off with a Beastly Fury, a room-wide AoE. Now the first time he uses this, it will change or alter the arena, as you can see there. Do not step on the crystallized area, it will give you a bleed on your character. The Wild Anguish is a stack mechanic. You generally just want to stay out of the little crystallized area. We have a Raging Slice. This one's going to be a double extended line AoE. Make sure you move away from where the arrow on the boss is pointing to. Typically around his sides or behind him. Another Beastly Fury, room-wide AoE. We have the Wild Rage, so the knockback puddles. There's a thing about this is that if you get clipped, if you clip on the circle, you instantly die, so watch out. Try not to get yourself clipped. You're going to get knocked away unless you use something like Surecast or Arm's Length. You can avoid the knockback. We have the Falling Rocks, no stacked circles. Use the rocks to your advantage. Stack with the rocks, not each other with the Wild Anguish. Now we have the Wild Rampage, Fatal Room Wide in the crater to avoid. As you can see on the right side, that's what happens if you stay in the crater for too long and your Berserk stacks hit max of 8. You basically walk to the boss, you hit the boss, and you take massive damage along with the actual AoE that does Fatal. I think at one point it did over 113,000 damage to a healer, so, and that healer was me. There's no way I was going to survive that anyways. Another Wild Rage, so another knockback into a puddle. There we go. Just pushes you away. Make sure you get pushed not into the outer sections of the arena. Another Wild Rampage. Again, you're going to see what happens to you if you do this incorrectly on the right side of the screen. Now we have the no stack circles with the rocks. Again, you want to stack with the rocks, not each other. I'm doing pretty good for a scholar that hasn't played Scholar in about 5 days. Another Beastly Fury, room-wide AoE. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. We have a Beastly Fury again. Another room-wide. It's doing a number on my OGCDs, but just manage. A Raging Slice. So after the first seg, he's going to do triple. Just make sure you're out of the way of his frontal, and you should be okay. And another Wild Anguish, and this should be everything. With the LB, we should be able to finish. Hello world, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe here. You can also donate if interested in supporting the channel. More content to watch on the right side. If interested in joining in the Tempest Talons, info in the top left. And as always, good luck to you, and we'll see you next time.